Yeah, good evening.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us. Now, the peace talks between the Afghan government and the Taliban have been ongoing for the last year. So could you give us an update on the progress?
Yeah, the talks between the Afghan government and the Taliban started in September last year, the first round of the talks. And the two sides had negotiations for more than 2 months and agreed upon procedural rule. After 3 weeks, it passed. The two sides started the second round of talks, which was on January 5th. But the Taliban walked away from the table, and they did not resume the second round of talks. And a delegation of the Taliban traveled to neighboring countries, including Pakistan, Iran, and Russia. So the peace talks currently has reached a stalemate. So the Afghan government is trying to break this stalemate through regional actors.
I see. Now, another issue that has been present is the withdrawal of the NATO troops from the country. Do you think that this will have an impact on the level of violence that is currently existing in the country?
Well, the Joe Biden administration is trying to put pressure on the Taliban leadership because the NATO and the US are saying that the Taliban have not fulfilled their promise and did not honor their deal with Washington. So I believe that this is a pressure on the Taliban to honor their deal with the US. So there are two possibilities. First, the Taliban may intensify their attacks and resume their attacks against US soldiers. So there's a possibility that the violence will increase. The second is that the Taliban are not also willing to walk away from the agreement they signed with the U.S. in February last year. So because currently the peace talks have reached a very critical juncture, so they are not willing to walk away. So they have to accept the gradual withdrawal of U.S. troops. So I believe that they may accept this because they will also lose if they walk away from the agreement and the talks, and their troops, their fighters will also sustain heavy casualties if the violence once again is increased between the two sides.
I see. Now, what do you think are the chances of lasting peace in the nation, especially that it's been at war for 20 years?
I believe that the regional and global stakeholders are able to play a very critical and important role if they play their role actively and constructively, especially Pakistan, which Afghan officials believe that Pakistan has a very strong leverage on the Taliban. So the Pakistani officials, they promised that they would put their weight behind the peace process, but there is no tangible result. Afghan officials believe that if regional stakeholders, mainly Pakistan, play their role constructively and actively, so the peace will bear the desired result. Recently, the Russian special representative Zamir Kabulov said that Russia is trying to break the stalemate and may hold a meeting to broker the talks between the Afghan government and the Taliban. So in these talks, China, Pakistan will also attend, but I'm not sure if representatives from Afghanistan and US may attend the meeting. But I believe that regional and global stakeholders, if they engage actively and constructively in the talks, so the talks will be fruitful.
Okay. Ajitullah, I have to thank you for the insight. Do you have any final words or anything that you'd like to add on the matter just before I let you go?
Well, I believe that since the Taliban are fighting here and based on ideology, if Islamic countries and religious clerics issue religious fatwa and voice their concern against violence in Afghanistan, it may be very constructive and will be crucial in mitigating the violence.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for that insight, Hajjatullah. Please do stay safe. We'll be speaking to you soon.
Right.